Welcome to another special edition on African leadership. In this episode, we focus our searchlight on the infamous regime of Cameroon's Paul Biya. 4 decades of power, patronage, and paradox. For over 4 decades, Paul Biya has ruled Cameroon with a grip so tight it has shaped, and in many ways, stifled, the nation's political, social, and economic destiny. As one of the world's longest-serving heads of state, Biya's name has become synonymous with longevity, authoritarianism, and inertia in Central African politics. From technocrat to tyrant, the rise of Paul Biya. Paul Biya began his political ascent as a technocrat in the 1960s, serving under Cameroon's first president, Amadou Ahidjo. When Ahidjo abruptly resigned in 1982, Biya, then prime minister, was constitutionally next in line. What followed was a power struggle that saw Ahidjo go into exile and Biya consolidate his rule with surgical precision. Initially hailed as a reformist and a man of the people, Biya's early promise quickly gave way to one-man rule, a pattern all too familiar in post-colonial African states. By the late 1980s, Biya had entrenched himself as the supreme authority, abolishing internal opposition within the ruling party and militarizing the state apparatus to suppress dissent. A democracy in name only. Although Cameroon transitioned to a multi-party system in the early 1990s under pressure from civil society and international partners, the democratic veneer has long been paper-thin. Elections have been routinely marred by allegations of vote rigging, state violence, and media manipulation. Opposition leaders, most notably John Frundi of the Social Democratic Front, have accused Biya of using electoral commissions, constitutional councils, and the judiciary as tools of political survival rather than accountability. Biya has won every election since 1984, often with landslide margins that raise more questions than confidence. In the 2018 presidential poll, at the age of 85, he secured another 7-year term amid accusations of fraud, low voter turnout, and widespread voter suppression, particularly in conflict-ridden Anglophone regions. The Anglophone crisis, a self-inflicted national wound. One of the most damning legacies of Biya's rule is the Anglophone crisis. What began as peaceful protests in 2016 by English-speaking lawyers and teachers demanding equal treatment quickly escalated into a full-blown armed conflict. The government responded with military force, arbitrary arrests, internet blackouts, and allegations of human rights violations, pushing many frustrated citizens into supporting armed separatist movements seeking independence for Ambazonia. Today, the Anglophone regions remain deeply unstable, with thousands killed, hundreds of thousands displaced, and a humanitarian crisis unfolding largely out of international view. Biya's failure to initiate meaningful dialogue or constitutional reform has only deepened the crisis, cementing the perception of his government as out of touch, repressive, and indifferent. An absent president and a hollowed state. Perhaps the most surreal aspect of Biya's regime is his legendary absenteeism. Known as the Monarch of Geneva, Biya has spent years of his presidency abroad, particularly at the luxury Intercontinental Hotel in Switzerland. Meanwhile, back home, civil servants go unpaid, infrastructure crumbles, and the education and healthcare sectors remain severely underfunded. Cameroon, despite its rich natural resources and strategic location, ranks low on most development indices. Corruption is rampant, and the state is bloated with patronage networks loyal to Biya rather than national interest. Government ministries are often led by loyalists, many of whom have held their positions for decades, creating a static, self-preserving political elite. Cult of personality and the fear of succession. Like many long-standing autocrats, Biya has built a cult of personality, aided by state media and a ruling party that acts more like a court than a political institution. Portraits of the aging president adorn public buildings, and ministers routinely praise his wisdom and vision, even as the country stagnates. Yet perhaps the greatest threat to Cameroon's stability now is the lack of a clear succession plan. Biya, now in his 90s, has not groomed a successor nor opened the political space for credible contenders. This vacuum has created growing uncertainty about the country's future and raised fears of chaos or power struggles in the event of his sudden incapacitation or death. Legacy of a lifetime ruler. Paul Biya's regime has become a textbook case of African authoritarian longevity, characterized by crackdowns on opposition, personal enrichment, disconnection from citizen needs, and constitutional manipulation. His reign has seen Cameroon shift from a hopeful post-colonial republic into a fragmented state marked by inequality, repression, and persistent conflict. To his critics, Biya is not just a relic of the past, but a cautionary tale of what happens when power becomes an end in itself. To his few remaining defenders, he is a stabilizing force in a volatile region. But for millions of Cameroonians, the Paul Biya era represents lost decades of wasted opportunity, broken dreams, and national paralysis. As the world watches and as the clock ticks ever louder, the question remains, what comes after Biya, and at what cost will Cameroon be able to reclaim its future? Thanks for watching. Do not